we're going to be doing the reality worksheet that Michael created in February 2023. He has got many different worksheets, but this is the new updated one. For those that don't know me, I'm Yinka and I run Hear My Voice Book Club, which is an inspirational self-development books. You can find all my events on Meetup, the best place to find all the events. I also have an in-person event in Manchester, which is Abraham Hicks Teachings. Also on Instagram, we also got a Facebook account, and my email is yinka@hearmyvoicebookclub.com if anyone has any questions. This is what we've got on for the rest of the week. This is what we've had on this week, what we've got left. So we've got Friday, all to my birthday special tomorrow. So if anyone wants to come to the 5 AM club, you're welcome to come and join us for a birthday special. I will be sharing all the teachings, that just a little splash of all the teachings I've enjoyed throughout the year. We also have children's story time at 7 PM, which is created by my son, who's 7. And that's at 7 PM tomorrow. We do shorty cardio workouts on a Saturday at 6. There is no sessions. We normally have cardio and meditations on Sunday. There is none of that this Sunday, as I'll be off out for my birthday. And I don't know what condition I might get back home in on Saturday night. So there'll be no sessions on Sunday. Only those that are on call in the one in the evening, that'll still be on. Oh, Laura's put, she's never been before. Welcome, Laura, to the group.
Thank you.
Who else have we got just joined? Is Michael joined as well?
I had a little
Michael.
difficulty getting in, but I'm here.
Yes, well, we've got Michael with us. So I shall just flick through the rest of the slides and then we'll do a quick breakout room and then we'll start the session. Is that all right, Michael?
Sweet, works for me.
Awesome. So the next monthly book club is Thursday, the 6th of April. We have a monthly book club, but we do lots of different books throughout the month. It's Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life by Wayne Dyer. And that's on at 10:30 and 8:30 PM. So 10:30 AM and 8:30 PM on the 6th of April. We also do weekends away, and this we have a few day visits left. So we're doing it in Stockport near Manchester. We have some places left for the 8th or the 9th of April, if anyone wants to come down just for the day. And we've got quite a few people staying. And there's male and females at these events, so everyone is welcome. We also do in-person events in Manchester. These are law of attraction teachings. We have Manchester the 15th of April, but we've got a Liverpool one on the 29th of March, which I think is next week or the week after. Then we have WhatsApp groups. We like to keep the group connected. So we have a WhatsApp group, different WhatsApp groups for different, we've got the main book club, we have an information one, we have quite a few J.D. Spencer fans, so we have one just for that. We have a 5 AM club one, and those that are on for calling in the one sessions. Hear My Voice Book Club runs non-profit events, so everyone can take part regardless of financial status. It's run through donations, but I ask any donations, if anybody wants to donate this evening, to all go to Michael, directly to Michael, to support Michael in his teachings and to keep this going, because Michael kindly comes twice a month to the book club. So if anybody would like to donate, it would be much appreciated. But we always start off our sessions with shoulder rolls. We like to get our bodies moving, shift any old energy from our bodies, getting it ready for the session. So choose a comfortable sitting position and just take a nice deep breath in, drawing up your shoulders all the way to your ears. And as you exhale through the mouth, just bring the shoulders back and down. Nice deep breath in, draw up those shoulders. And exhale. One more time, nice deep breath in. And exhale. And for those that would like to stand up and just give your bodies a shake out, it's just to get the bodies moving, have a little bit of music, just to however you want to move your body. And we're just going to do a quick breakout room. It'll only be a short one, just to do a rampage of appreciation, as appreciation is one of the highest vibrations. We like to share appreciation, introduce yourself, get to know the group. There'll be about 4 of you in a group, so you can get to know each other in small groups. Has there anyone that's never done a breakout room before? Everyone's all right. Good, I shall click on. For those that don't want to do breakout room or share, you can just stay in this main
Hello,
room.
hello.
Hello?
Hi there.
Hi, we're just doing breakout rooms.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm just on audio. I couldn't get in through the regular link, so I can't see how to get into the breakout room, but I'm here.
You're here, but you can
I'm listening.
Yes. There'll only be a quick one for everyone, just to, and then we'll
Cool.
be back and we'll start straight away.
Awesome.
There you go, everyone.
Inka, I haven't chosen to go in a breakout room because am I still doing a workshop with Michael tonight?
Yes. Is that all right?
Yes. I'm not really sure what to do it on.
What idea did you have this morning?
Well, this morning I wanted to do it about sort of forgetting things and being disorganised, but today I sort of had a lot of work to do when I got in from work, but fell asleep in the car park. So it was kind of, I just sort of feel very deflated and weary. So I don't know.
Do you want to keep it as that?
What? Why am I forgetting things? I do keep forgetting things and keep being disorganised and going the wrong place, forgetting the wrong day. Yeah, I did several things like that last night and this morning. I arranged cover for a lesson that I wasn't actually going to be missing from. So yeah, maybe I should do it, but stick with the forgetting.
It's totally up to you. By the time Michael comes, you've got a few minutes to decide before they all come back.
Has Michael gone in a breakout room?
Yeah,
then?
he has. I think it's just automatically put him in one.
Oh, is that who the telephone one that's just not on here, is it? Is she?
No, she's not. She's not been on for a while, actually.
No, she hasn't, has she? She's been very busy, I think.
Yinka?
Yes.
How do we find the worksheet?
Oh, it'll be fine. It'll all be put on your screen as well.
Oh, okay, cool.
I can put the worksheet in the chat as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
But it'll all be on the screen, so you won't need anything. You just need a pen and paper.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much.
I can paste it so you can all have it. So is this the first time you've done a worksheet?
Yeah. Is this something you do quite often?
We do it twice, 3 times a month.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Michael comes twice a month, and then we practice at the 5 a.m. club in the mornings, and then we do.
Yeah, I kind of half joined this morning at about 5:30.
Oh, right.
But I wasn't really sure what was going on. I fell asleep, so.
Yeah.
But it sounded good.
You'll get a better idea of it tonight.
Yeah, cool.
Once everyone comes back, I'll share all the details so you can click on any of the links. Because Michael, you can read his book on the PDF. He shared everything.
Yeah, I might do that actually.
But you don't even
I find he's really good to listen to rather than to read the book. I've bought the book, but kind of never been able to get into it. Maybe the print's very small and whatever, but when he talks, he's really engaging.
Yeah. He's got loads of stuff on YouTube as well.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, I'll check it out. I've never heard of him actually.
I don't even know how I discovered him. I think it might have been the title of the book. I randomly, I don't even know how I found the book, because you can't buy the. He doesn't. It's no longer published.
Right.
Do you sometimes put a random question into Google, like, "Why is this happening to me again?" And then
I do put random stuff. I put random stuff in Amazon as well. Maybe put that question in Amazon. Yeah, and then because I look back at my Amazon thinking, I don't remember buying the book when it got posted, and it was about a month after ordering it, I got it and just completely forgot that I'd even bought it.
Happens all the time.
Yeah. I'm always buying off Amazon. I always forget what I bought and I get really excited when it comes because it's like opening a present. I don't even know what it's going to be.
I've got a whole bookshelf of books that I haven't read yet. I get excited and then it's, you know, just builds up.
Yeah. Yeah. We should be back in 1 minute. Oh, you didn't get to do a worksheet this morning, did you, Sarah?
No.
Oh yeah, I just realised you got taken off.
No. Yeah, that was a bit weird that my internet just bugged out.
Mine did as well. It threw me out and kept everybody in the room, which was really weird. Because normally if it throws the host out, it throws everybody out, but everyone was there and I wasn't. Everyone come back already? No, I don't think everyone's come back, actually. Just check. Oh no, they haven't. Some of you have come back. I've got 7 seconds.
We'd be here.
Yeah, is everyone back? So we shall start.
Hello.
You just said hello.
Let's go for it.
I'm just going to check my screen. So I'm just going to make you co-host, Sarah and Michael. So if I mute anybody.
Actually, I couldn't get into the link, so I'm just on a phone. I can't see anything or do anything like that.
Okay, you can't,
unfortunately.
you can't click anything.
You've just got audio.
Yeah. So I'll unmute you if it goes off. I'll just remind you.
Cool. Awesome.
Share the screen. So we're just going to take a moment to breathe, because holding your breath is exactly how you acquire a past about something and carry it with you. Holding your breath attaches the pain of an experience to a reality in your mind. And you will be continually reminded to breathe throughout the session, because triggers may come up. And what we tend to do with a trigger is we hold our breath. So we're going to continually remind you to breathe. Just take a moment to just breathe. We're going to do one of Michael's reality management worksheets. Michael wrote the book, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And what you can do about it. Do you want to introduce yourself, Michael? Say hello.
Sure. I'm Michael.
Would you like to share anything?
So I've been doing, sure. I've been doing this work for just a little better than 50 years now. And about 43 or so years ago, I found the first century Aramaic language. And that has consumed my life ever since. It's been a full-time project to work with bringing the accurate definitions of Aramaic words into the English language. And there are many concepts, many ideas in the Aramaic that are expressed with a single word that it literally takes a whole paragraph to express in English because there's just no such concept. And, you know, when they talk about cultural shock, recognizing that different cultures have developed different realities. And when you understand that, it's very apparent why people go into cultural shock, because people in one culture just have no recognition of many of the realities being output from others' minds and wonder why nobody recognizes the ones in their minds. So recognizing that perception, what we call perception, the world we think we see out there, really isn't out there. It's actually between our ears. And that which is between our ears is a construct of the mind. And if what our mind does is constructs a reality, a perception out of pain, then there is a technology that was developed in the first century for collapsing those constructs. So if you hold a reality based in some sort of pain or trauma, you're probably following a culture of many generations of development of that particular reality, and it seems fixed and impossible that things could be any different. And the truth is, if you're in pain, the truth, the actuality of the moment is so profoundly different than what you're experiencing that it's almost unbelievable and incomprehensible at first. So what we're going to do today is a worksheet, a step-by-step. Here's how you collapse realities and make space for healing of those underlying pained constructs of the mind. That's what we're here to do. And I'm honored to be here with you to do it.
And we are honored to have you here, Michael.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for saying thank you.
So if everyone gets themselves pens and paper, we do have some new people. So I put in the chat how to find, you can find Michael's book, his radio station, all the events that he has. You can find all the links. I've added all the links into the chat. Don't worry, you do not need to have the worksheet with you today. You'll be able to see it all on screen. So we'll go through step by step. So the first part is reality management worksheet. My reality, perceptual output, constructed by my mind, wake up sheet, change your mind, change your life. The how-to of true Aramaic forgiveness. Forgiveness, the tool for waking up from and changing my reality. Premise, my essential nature, my human life, my very being is love. Hold a new board. The goal of this internal forgiveness wake-up sheet is to empower you to remove fear and or hostility and return me to the direct experience love 24/7, 365 days. So remember to, I will say the number of the one like 1A. Remember to put next to your answer 1A. We will go through the worksheet with Sarah. Sarah's volunteered to do the worksheet. And you can do your own worksheet and follow along.
Yes.
So what did you say?
I just said hello.
one of the presumptions of this worksheet is that each of us is made of same energetic pattern, and that pattern is love. Though many of us express anything but love in our world. However, if you take the moment where you held a newborn child and tap into the essence of that newborn, and I say this from the experience of having asked tens of thousands of people all over the globe over the last 50 years this question, what is the essence of that newborn? And virtually everybody's answer is always some variation on the theme of love. So, and then we have built into our minds a construct, a perception that is false and is based on unresolved generational dynamics and, for most people, pain. And so we develop out of the messages that come from what we call a power person, those realities based in pain. And our objective here is to collapse any reality, to give you the technology, the understanding of how realities are developed, and how to collapse any reality that is not based in love and make the space for active present love to show up. And what happens when that occurs, if I go back in my memory bank, we have a teaching center in the Ozarks in southern Missouri, a place called Heartland. About 35 or so years ago, doing a workshop there, and there was a person who had a really deeply, deeply painful reality experience. I mean, like extremely traumatic. And there were about 50 people in the room. And this person went through a forgiveness process and just moved on such a level from this traumatic, literally physically diseased place to a place of sweetness and love that, you know, the average person would say, that can't happen. Or if it happens, it's a miracle. And as that occurred, and there was just one person in the room that had that kind of a shift. And so I'm asking myself, and I'm saying, you know, what's going on here? What is it that made this shift occur? How does that happen? And why didn't everybody get it? And what I was shown and what was explained to me internally at that point was that in order to heal, i.e., in order to return to the truth of who we are as love, two things have to occur. One, that which is less than love has to surface in the mind. If it remains hidden, if it remains in what we call the unconscious, or in the ancient teachings, the Aramaic, it was called, the Greeks at least translated as the heart. If it remains in the heart or the unconscious, another code word for that in the ancient teachings was the desert. If it remains unconscious, then it remains intact and the trauma is going to continue. But if love is conscious, active, and present, and there's a space made for the trauma to come forward, pained structure to come forward, energetically there's a transmutation. Literally, that pained trauma, that trauma energy is transformed. And it's gone by simple exposure to active present love. So you'll see as we unfold the worksheet, we're moving into working to understand how to do both of those things. Bring love present and to let go of that which is less than love. That's where we're heading. And I'm excited to be sharing this with you. And I'm going to turn it over to this young lady. And oh, by the way, that first step, what we're going to invite everybody to do is, even if you don't believe it right now, at least suspect and then proclaim who you are by putting your name in that first blank and stating clearly out loud to yourself who you are as love. So your name, I, Michael, who am love. That's our first step.
So I read out. So 1A is I, and your name, like Michael said, I who am love. So as Sarah's the one volunteering, I, Sarah, who am love. You might want to say out loud to yourself, or
You want me to say it out now?
yes, if you yes.
And okay, I, Sarah, who am love.
So I'm experiencing. So 1B is identify your emotion. What is it? What is the emotion you're experiencing?
Me.
Yeah.
So I, Sarah, who am love, I'm experiencing excessive forgetting at work.
Is that the emotion?
Well, the emotion is that, yeah, it's making me feel really weary because I'm just looking silly at work with forgetting everything. You know, people are getting cross
Okay.
with me.
Yeah. Okay. So everything that you've expressed so far about this are your thoughts about it. And
Yes.
what we're looking to do here is to have you tap into the emotion that you're experiencing. So in a situation like the one you're describing, your emotion might be sadness, it might be fear, it might be anger, it might be embarrassment. What would the emotion be?
I think it might be disappointment or failure.
Okay. Well, failure's thoughts, disappointments, and emotion.
Oh, right. Well, I feel very disappointed.
Yeah.
Okay. So then
1B
I
for
put
you.
that in number 1A.
So if everybody else wants to write theirs down, and you can follow along with Sarah.
Does it have to be something in this second or something that you're experiencing today?
It can be something that you've
It can be, you can do
Go on, Michael.
can do a worksheet on any person, place, thing, or event, past, present, future, living or dead, including yourself. So
Okay, so it doesn't have to be live in this moment.
Does not have to be live in this moment. No, I've had people go back and do things that they experienced as being something from what they called a past life. No, it doesn't have to be live at the moment.
So then you might want to date it. If you do sheets regular, you might want to put the number of the sheet that you're doing. And my emotional upset level. So what is Sarah's emotional upset level before the sheet? 0 to 10, 10 being the highest of disappointment.
Yeah. I don't know. It might be more hopelessness. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure of the feeling. I know it doesn't feel good.
So from 0 to 10.
Go ahead with hopelessness then.
All right, I'll put a number on it.
Sorry, what did you say, Michael?
Actually, when I think about it, hopeless would be another thought. Hopeless wouldn't really be an emotion.
Okay.
So if the thought is it's hopeless, how do you feel about, your mind can't see any way out of this right now?
No. Well, maybe I'll stick with disappointment then. Disappointed with myself because
Okay.
I want to be good at my job and I'm being a bit crap, really.
Okay. So what you just did is you answered the question in number 3A. So if you would put in number 3A, I want to be good at my job. And we'll explain that a little later, but let's just put, now that you've gotten clarity on that, it just came, prematurely, but right on track. Go ahead and put that one in, number 3A.
So then, and draw the emotion. So what does that emotion look like? It doesn't have to be an piece of art. It can be however it feels like. It can be a scribble, a doodle, whatever. I'll just give you all a moment to just draw your emotion. Enough time, Sarah?
Yes, I've drawn something.
Also, on the bottom of it, it says here, if I'm in pain, my thinking is in error, and breathe. So if I'm in pain, my thinking is in error. Remember to breathe as things come up for you. So it says, my denial displaces my experience of myself, of my essence, love, and my mind tells me that my emotions are caused by my trigger. Who are you focused on? And my perception and story is. So who's your focus? So Sarah, I'm assuming it's
Want to take a shot at defining denial there?
Say again, Michael.
I said, you want to take a shot at defining denial?
Defining
denial? The key word starting a sentence out is around the idea of denial. I'm going to give everybody a definition of that. Would you like me to pop in and do that?
So that's the avoidance.
So in this work, we have a very specific definition for the word denial. And that is, whenever I think or speak as though something outside of me is the cause of what's happening inside of me, then I'm in denial. And what happens when I think or speak as though something outside of me? Hold on for just 1 second. We've gotten to the hotel and Jeannie's setting up my computer here. Let me in, so it's feeding back.
Oh, we can see you now.
Okay, and I can turn off my phone.
There
So
you
we've
go.
got some visual now.
Yeah.
All right. So when I'm in denial, when I play that game of denial, when I think or speak, just getting some light adjusted here. When I think or speak as though something outside of me is the cause of what's moving inside of me, I have to hide from myself the real cause. And that's what creates a totally unnatural condition for a human being, and that's an unconscious mind. If you talk to psychologists today, they'll tell you that 80, 90, 95, some would even say 98% of our thinking is unconscious. My offering is that 0%, we're designed to have 0% unconscious thoughts. And so if you think about, 90% or more is unconscious, that's a lot of denial that's gone down for generations and generations and generations. And so what we want to do is come out of the denial, and instead of having to hide something from ourselves, creating this unconscious condition, become aware of everything that's in there. Now, the challenge of that is that we have to face everything that's in there, and that's not an easy thing to do. One of the reasons why actual forgiveness is not very popular is because you have to deal with whatever's going on inside of you. And so one of the objectives of this worksheet is to open the space, in the ancient teachings, they said the veil of the temple must be rent in twain And they were not talking about a purple curtain in a church. This body-mind unit is the temple, and the veil is the barrier between the subconscious and the unconscious mind. We want to open that and look at what's beneath it. So just for understanding's sake, when I deny, I hide something, I dissociate from it. What I dissociate from and I hide in my mind, by dissociating from it, it's like I push it down. And by pushing it down, I put energy into it, which means energetically, I send out a signal to all the world, and somebody's going to show up to play off of it. Somebody's going to show up to bounce off of it and play it out with me. And when they do, when they play it out with me, what they're going to do is their behavior is going to resonate that unconscious part in myself. And literally what I do with that is I take that unconscious data and I make my brain's pictures of them out of it. So now they show up in my mind with my problem attached. And of course, I'm sure it must be their problem. And of course, sometimes the they is myself. I can do this same process with myself. So what we're looking to do is to collapse perception, to recognize the impact of denial, to collapse perception and own what's going on in our own unconscious, feel it, deal with it, and process through it. And processing in this work we define as keeping love conscious, active, and present when something less than love comes up. And that's where that processing occurs. That's where the dissolution of the unconscious dynamics take place. And the positive side of that is you get to be a conscious creator rather than functioning out of unconscious dynamics. And whenever somebody functions out of unconscious dynamics, and that's most of the world, most of the time, the way our cultures are, most of our cultures work on the planet today, the whole base of the cultures is denial. And so what I deny and dissociate from, I obviously project. And when I project, of course, I have to find somebody to project on. And so what do? I blame. And I like to call it, what virtually everybody does by being born into this world is they become almost, like by the age of 3 or 4, maybe 5, virtually everybody is a card-carrying member of the one world religion of blame. It's all somebody else's fault. And, kind of tongue-in-cheek, I like to throw out the thought that you'll notice if you've been through a particular painful reality 87 different times with 42 different people, you're the only one that was there every time. What's going on inside of you is about you. What you're feeling, what you're experiencing is yours. And what we're looking to do is open the space to uncover it and to get rid of the gunk, get rid of the stuff that doesn't belong, the energetic patterns that never belonged in us in the first place. So
that's very interesting.
It changes things.
It
changes things.
Can I tell you what I drew?
Go for it, please. Yes.
I drew, I don't know if you can see, I drew a hole in the ground, and the emotion is the bit of puddle at the bottom, and then I put a big boulder on it, and that it feels like that is denial. I don't know if you can see it.
That's it. You're plain as day. You're right on track. That's it.
Yeah, it's
quite a load to carry.
Yeah, I feel like I identified my emotion as disappointment, but I know all my colleagues are getting very disappointed with me, and I feel as if I'm doing this forgetting just to give them something to, work with. And really, I just need to get rid of the thing that I'm hiding. I think this is going to be a difficult worksheet.
Let me draw a picture for you here. And this is how I usually draw a person with the conscious and subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And then when we go into that denial state, we draw the unconscious.
Can you put that closer?
Almost replicated, pardon me?
Can you put it closer?
Yes.
It's going to be good.
Without the whole body around it, you've almost replicated the lower part of the drawing. That's the barrier, the veil that I'm talking about that needs to open. And it's like you've drawn a giant rock right on top of it. Shut it down. And what we're going to do is assist you in lifting that rock off.
Oh.
So it's interesting how close your drawing is
Yeah.
to this idea of the unconscious.
Yes.
Okay, can I have a quick question about
for it.
about the denial? Also, am I in denial because I mostly blame myself?
Same thing. Yeah, any object of attention will do. You can do it to self, to somebody else. You know, you can do it to the refrigerator. You know, how many people pick the door in? They're in denial, dissociation, and projection onto a silly door, like the door, you know, got in their way and did it to them. It's just that blame game. So yes, you can be the object of attention. Many people, some of the most important worksheets will be on themselves.
Mm,
Absolutely. Yep.
okay.
I'll turn it back over to you, young lady.
So 1C, who your focus, I'm assuming, is you, Sarah?
Well,
Or
one
who were you focused on?
I am focused on I guess my colleagues' disappointment. Yeah, and my own disappointment.
So your colleagues and yourself, and your story is?
That I keep forgetting things and it's getting a bit ridiculous.
So the focus would be self here.
Yeah.
So you'd be the object of attention. And then your perception, your story is, I'm forgetting.
Yes.
And I think your word earlier was, then I feel silly.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, we're all a bit disappointed, but it is, yeah,
Also, yeah.
It's making me look very silly at work.
Can I share something with you?
Yes, please.
There's a text that I've done a lot of work with over the last 40 years, along with this work. It's called A Course in Miracles. And two of the things that the Course in Miracles say are, one, that perception, literally, the world we think we see with our eyes, it's totally made up by our brain, is something we made up. And that memory is something we made up. So I'll just share, and you know, as you're talking about what's happening for you, something I've been working on now for somewhere between 6 months or a year, personally, in terms of my own personal process, is totally letting go of perception and memory and being willing to function without it.
Right.
And what I'm finding is that there's something far more reliable and informative available to me when I don't keep going back to memory, and perception.
Well, what's that?
It's been given many names over the years: higher power,
Oh,
superconscious,
yes.
subconscious, primordial X, God, mind of Christ. It's been given lots of different names.
Yes,
The
I
word
quite like that Tao.
Say again?
I like the Tao's in the Tao Te Ching.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah. So there's something else available to us, and it's a lot more reliable and a lot more comprehensive than memory and perception.
Yes. Yes.
I'll click on to the next one. And everyone else might want to notice what their breath is doing.
One of the ways to shut down availability of that other mind, whatever you call it, is to hold the breath. And when one shuts down one's breath, it's like that mind rides on the breath. And when one shuts down one's breath, then they cut off accessibility.
Yes.
We've got 1D. The truth is, only my thoughts cause my emotional upset. So the thoughts, a separate wake-up sheet for each thought I used to cause my emotion of 1B, which was a disappointment for Sarah. So what are the thoughts? So we've already gone into colleagues are being disappointed.
Yes. And that they think I look silly.
And they think you look silly.
Yeah.
Let's, at this point, you started the worksheet out around self. So let's stay focused on self rather than their thoughts. What's the thought in order for you to feel something? Again, when we're members of the One World Church of Blaine, we try to pretend that somebody else's thought is what's causing this in here. What I'm going to ask you is to come back to yourself here, take responsibility for this.
Well, I suppose it's me who thinks I'm looking silly because I know I'm looking a bit ridiculous.
Okay. Then I'd put in there, I look ridiculous. That would be the thought you use.
Yeah.
Now, there's a workshop we do called Codependence to Interdependence. And in that workshop, we introduce what we call a power person. And a power person, usually it's a parent, not always. And usually it's comes from an interaction between a parent and a child. There are three things that have to happen simultaneously for this power person dynamic to be installed in the mind. Number one, the power person has more power over the child's life than the child has. Number two, the power person is not functioning as love, is not functioning as a human being. And number three, the child perceives that circumstance as survival. When those three things happen, the child's energy field, when you think of this, what we think of as a solid physical body, and a body is just an image in a mind, no such thing exists. If we could see what was actually here, we'd see this whirring mass of electrons, protons, neutrons, and light. We wouldn't see a body.
Yes.
And recognizing that, what happens to the child, power person's got more power, isn't functioning as love, and the child perceives it as survival. It's like their energy field opens wide and just becomes like a sponge and sucks everything in from the environment.
Oh dear.
So I'm going to just invite you to tap into whether or not you ever either got the message from your power person, or whether you perhaps presumed that you were silly.
No, it was direct. Silly girl. And at the time, my mum was going through a divorce and post-divorce and grief with parents dying. So yeah, a difficult time for mum, and consequently a difficult time for us kids. And yeah, silly. And it links with my own experience of school as well. So this is all quite, this is very uncomfortable.
So what I'm going to do is invite you to breathe and be willing to embrace this discomfort in love, because that's how you're going to dissolve it. Otherwise, it'll just go on running your life. And again, that third phase, that third thing that causes a power person dynamic to be installed in the mind, where I think it's survival and I just take all of the energy in. So what I just heard you say is you took in some suffering from your mother around the death of her parent or parents, and this idea of being a silly girl. And that's what you want to remove from your mind. That's an energetic dynamic that you don't need to live with. And this silly girl thing is just a thought disorder that you bought into from mom. And once we buy into something, once we play this power person dynamic out, then what we're going to do is our mind is going to generate realities to support that as being true. And if what you need to do to keep believing you're a silly girl is have your memory go and gee, I can't function properly, then your mind will say, okay, if that's what you want from me, I'll do it. Okay. I mean, I got better things for you, but if that's what you want. And when you get rid of it, that whole dynamic's just going to disappear from your life.
Okay, I'd like
That's
to
what
get
forgiveness does. It's the removal of those things from your life.
Yes. Yeah, it's interesting also that this power parent figure carried over into teachers, and it's no wonder I work at a school. So teachers at school when I was a child also called me silly, and that was quite unkind, and they were quite abusive, really. And now I work at a school.
Right.
So
You're
I think
committed
that's
to
very
working
true.
through this, right?
It's very true what you said.
You just keep putting yourself right back in the circumstance to go through it.
Completely. Yes, it's very true.
Perfect.
Mm,
Powerful. Now,
yeah.
the other thing to understand about this power person dynamic is that once it's installed in your mind, until you start to understand it and dissolve it, there are only 3 behaviors possible for you in your life. And they will relate to your power person. And the level of stress that you're under will determine which behavior you do.
Yes.
The first behavior is when there's no stress or little stress going on. You have what in the mind, what we call an automatic decision system. And your automatic decision system will cause you to do whatever you did. Your behaviors will be limited to whatever you did to get along with your power person. When stress starts to build, you'll move, and I just invite everybody to look at this. This is I offer, this is the dynamic that runs the world. I mean, it runs governments, it runs homes, it runs communities, it runs churches, it runs businesses, it runs everything, because nobody has discovered it and learned how to work through it. So 3 behaviors: little or no stress. Whatever you did to get along with your power person will be what your mind guides you to do. When stress starts to build, you'll move into doing what you did to resist and survive with your power person. And then when you become ultra stressed, you'll do what your power person did that you hated the most.
Yes.
Runs the world. And this tool of forgiveness is designed to support you discovering your ability to undo those dynamics and get rid of them from your life. Get rid of them from your generations.
Yes.
So that's what we're here to do.
Yes.
I leave it up to you, Yenka.
Go over to 1E. I want to punish. So how do you want to punish 1C by, which is yourself in this case? Some people, you may have the person, place, thing, but in Sarah's case, she's got herself. So how do you want to punish yourself by? And notice what you're doing with your breath.
I'm holding it.
Yes.
I don't know. I guess I perpetuate it and add to it and avoid the changing of it. I don't know. I mean, I try all sorts of systems like diaries and stuff. Reminders. I forget the phone. I forget my iPad. I forget. It's just, yeah.
Well, you remind me, when I was a kid, one of my mother's favorite sayings about me was, if your head wasn't attached, you'd forget it.
Yeah, I get that. I got that one. Yeah. Colander
I can
head.
identify with that.
Yeah, all of that. And I suppose I make a joke of it sometimes, trying to play it down, and that only makes it worse because it actually puts it in people's heads even more so then.
Time to forgive, and again, remembering that the word forgive doesn't mean let mom or somebody else off the hook for what's going on. The word forgive means to remove this energetic dynamic from my mind, from my body, from my nervous system, to free myself from it.
Mm. Yes.
The next one to read out. Number 2, I am willing to process all disease as I go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing. And breathe.
Good breath. That's the kind of breath that heals. That's it right there. Did you notice the shift in your energy?
Yeah.
That's it. Nice.
Okay.
So 3A, which you will have already done, my desire, the constructive. Sorry.
Let's just explain a little bit more
Okay.
about what the healing process looks like. Because one of the reasons why people, everybody who hears about this goes, wow, this is really exciting. This is really cool. Man, I'm going to do this. But ultimately, oftentimes people get turned off from it because of what they need to feel and deal with. So when we talk about the symptoms of healing, healing happens on a physical, mental, and emotional level. When you realize that we're not physical beings, we're energetic beings. Every energy that comes into this system reflects in the system as symptoms. Wonderful things come in and our symptoms are aliveness and joy, and isn't this great? Nasty things come in and it's depression and hatred and rage and fear and guilt and grief. And we have a culture that tells us that healing looks like, if you've got hatred and grief and fear and rage, you just need to get rid of it. So have we got a pill for you? And then treatment becomes a substitute for disease, for healing. If treatment is a substitute for healing, then what has happened is every time that something untoward comes up, what people do is run off and grab a pill or a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or a fifth of scotch or the refrigerator with all the junk they can get or white bread with no nutrition in it, anything to shut that energy down. So treatment becomes a substitute for healing. And healing means you take the disintegrative energy that never belonged in your structure and you remove it. Elsewise, it will kill you, literally, physically. Now, if we translate that from the ancient teachings in the Aramaic language, which is thought to be religious, this is going back 2,000 years now, we hear a man saying, the wages of sin is death. And the Greeks made that into a whole thing that's got nothing to do with what was being taught. The word sin in Aramaic is an archery term. If you're on the archery range and you got out your bow and your arrow and you fired it and you missed the bullseye, the scorekeeper would yell sin. You're off the mark. That's all the word means. And if we put energies that are off the mark into tissue, hate, fear, rage, guilt, grief, drama, trauma, self-judgment, self-deprecation, then we sin. We literally put an energy in that doesn't belong. And those energetic patterns cause tissue to begin to fall apart and we die. That's where diseases come from. Time hasn't got anything to do with what we call aging. It's the fact that we put disintegrative energies that are off the mark, into tissue over and over and over, day by day by day by day. We're taught to do it every day. We sit in that classroom or that school and work. We're putting it in every day. We sat as a child and put those disintegrative energies in, bought into them. We were, in the ancient Aramaic sense, sinning. We were buying into energy that didn't belong with us, in us. And of course, our culture taught us, well, if you got home and you didn't like it, then, well, you were 13 and you went, oh, well, give me a little whiskey or give me a little wine or, give me a little beer. And, how many started at 13 and are pure alcoholics by the time they're 20? Why? Because they were trying to shut down those energetic patterns. What we're saying is you got to do the opposite, is let it open and let it go, which means when the energy starts to move back out again, The symptoms of healing are identical to the symptoms of disease. What's going to move out looks the same as it looked on the way in. And most people don't want to go there, don't want to embrace that, don't want to deal with that. So in the system of medicine that I'm trained in, it's called a healing crisis. And that means that any energy that went in is going to have to come back out again, and we're going to get to deal with it. Do we breathe and hold love present while we deal with it? Or do we run back to our old habits of shutting it down? So on a physical level, healing looks like any kind of physical symptom you've ever had in low energy. On a mental level, healing looks like any kind of negative thought you've ever had in confusion. And on an emotional level, healing looks like any kind of negative feeling you've ever had in depression. And the work is about being able to open the space, what was called the veil of the temple, the barrier between the subconscious and the unconscious, access those things and process through them. So when we say, I'm willing to go through the symptoms of healing, that's what we mean. I'm willing to embrace that. And I realize that that's ultimately what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to work through those things. And it's a process, and it takes time.
Yes.
Oh, I just got a hit of a parallel, and I instantly got a shot of the picture of Tony Stark's chest. The cog in the middle of it, when it turns,
Right?
it's like that switched on in us.
It's called
That's
the thymus
funny.
gland. Yeah, it's called the thymus gland.
Yeah. Wow. Thank
In
you.
churchianity, they taught people to pound themselves on the thymus 3 times and proclaim their guilt. Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa, which means through my fault, through my fault, through my most grievous fault. And at the same time as they were pounding on their chest doing that, they were shutting down their endocrine system, moving deeper into death.
Wow.
We got to reverse the process. I mean, it was done for valid reasons. People were nuts. People were crazy, and they were trying to shut it down. But teaching people to shut down their whole endocrine system, while it may somewhat improve behavior, doesn't make for a very healthy life. Yeah. So nice catch. That's awesome. You're obviously very aware of what's going on in your structure. Most people are not.
Thank you.
So nice work.
Okay.
Are you saying by tapping on our thymus, we're shutting ourselves down?
Well, let's check it out. If you do 1 solid tap on your thymus and then 3 light taps, 1 light tap and 3 solid taps on your thymus, what happens to your physiology?
I don't know. I thought it was a good thing.
Try it. Do it. So I'm asking you to do what happens. Pay attention to your body and what happens. Tap
I don't
lightly
know.
once. Oh, well, then do it now and know. Let yourself be aware. Tap lightly on your thymus once and then 3 times a little harder. And what happens?
Is my thymus in the middle of my chest? But
right about here.
Oh,
right where they do the mea culpa. And the way it went was mea culpa, mea maxima culpa.
You see, I do a daily energy routine with Donna Eden, and she encourages us to tap on our thymus.
Yes. But you want to reverse the process. Instead of mea culpa, bang, mea maxima culpa, now having done that, now do it the other way around. Do a heavy tap on the thymus and 2 lights and watch what happens to your body. That's the way to turn the endocrine system on. They were trying to shut down aberrant behavior. They just went a little too far.
It felt like something went down into my stomach.
Doing the second?
In the second or the first, Hazel?
Which one was it that you felt that feeling in your stomach?
The first one.
Pardon me?
The first one.
Yeah. Now reverse it. Do 2 heavies and 1 light and see what happens.
I don't know what you're saying.
Have you got two devices on, Gina?
Yes.
Yes. That would
Okay.
be.
You want to turn one off? And you won't have that echo.
Mm.
So Gina, here's what I'm saying. I'm going to move my camera. I'm inviting you to put your hand right here and then do mea culpa, 2 light hits, and then a heavier one, mea maxima culpa. So mea culpa means I'm guilty, my fault. You know, one of the president's lawyers has a podcast now called Mea Culpa. They put him in jail for lying. He's saying, I'm guilty, I did it. So just notice what happens when you do 2 lights and a heavy tap. And then reverse it. Do a heavy tap and 2 light taps. Does anybody notice anything?
No.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I think so.
What most people experience is that on the first one, things tend to close down. On the second one, they tend to feel an expansion.
Yeah. That feels, the second one feels for me like soothing, that is not such a heavy burden any longer. That is like much better than the
It
heavy.
stimulates and opens rather than closes.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's what I would say.
Turn off one of your devices, Gina. Is right.
Oh, all right, okay, all right, I'll turn it off. For me, thumping my thymus is a way of opening up my system and releasing what's the word I'm looking for? Releasing
Stress? Releasing stress?
Partly it's releasing immune things to help my immunity.
It does strengthen the immune. It tends to turn on the immune system and the endocrine
Yes,
system.
that's what I'm trying to say. Yes.
Good.
That's the whole idea of why I thump my thymus. Yes.
Okay. Well, just practice with it a little bit and see if you use those 2 different patterns, if you notice a difference.
Well, so what was you saying then in church? Pardon? I didn't catch what you said.
Well, what I'm saying is when they introduced that, they were trying to shut down aberrant behavior, crazy people. They're trying to shut it down. But what they were doing was shutting down the vitality of the system in order to do that. So it was an overreaction. And so what we want to do is open the system and process through whatever drives crazy behavior and be restored to functioning as humans. Remember that first sentence? I, Gina, who am love.
Right.
So that's where we want to head.
Yeah.
So let's go on with number 3.
Yeah. So 3A, my desire, the constructive result, the exact goal that drives my pain perception is that I want 1C, my trigger 2, which Sarah, you've already stated yours. I want to be good at my job. But else
I think we've got a parallel theme at the same time, that being good at my job is about being a good girl.
Well, you'll see there's a 3B as well. So we'll you'll catch them both in here. Now, just to recognize the power of what we're doing with step 3. What we're doing is we're identifying goals. And you'll notice that unless you're just a generally miserable person, that you're pretty happy with most everybody as long as they're fulfilling the goals you have for them, right? It's like you're cool with everybody. The only time you go into upset is when they stop fulfilling the goals you hold for them, right? Is that true for everybody?
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. It's because your goals, remember we talked about perception being a construct of the mind. Your goals determine what content from the mind is going to be used to build your perception, literally the world that you see. And if you load a goal that resonates negative or pained content, then best you get rid of that negative or pained content. And so we're going to show you how to do that. Now, there's the basis of this particular piece of the puzzle is that there's some, actually it's some of the most well-researched and the most quoted psychological research in history. It was done back in the 50s at Harvard University. And what they showed was that in a time frame where 10,000 brain cells fire, they've got somebody hooked up to electrodes, they're measuring brain cell firings. In a time frame where 10,000 brain cells are firing, the max amount of data that goes into conscious awareness is 9 bits. Little tiny piece of information out of this mass that's moving. Now, obviously, if that's true, then something must determine which 9 bits of information your mind is going to use. I propose that your goals are what do that. And therefore, your goals are the key way into forgiveness, into accessing things that are otherwise, accessing and removing things that are otherwise hidden from you. So in this step, in the circumstance that you're working on, you want to look at what's the constructive result, the goal that you want. And so, Sarah, what's your goal? You want it to be good at your job, right?
Good at my job.
So you identified that one very early in the process.
Yeah.
And that's why I should do that. So that would be number 3A, and then 3B, so that I can, and you just gave us that piece just a moment ago.
Be a good girl.
So that I can be a good girl.
Approval.
There you go. So that I can be approved of. So I can be good and be approved of.
Yeah.
And I invite everybody, whatever worksheet you're doing for yourself, to really look at what your goal is and what's behind your goal so that I can. Now, what you've just done is identified 2 goals that cause your mind to use pained data to produce your perception. And then we're going to show you what to do with that.
Okay. This is very interesting.
Tell me what your thought is.
And my thought is, I say a lot of times, I want to be a really good careers advisor. I want to aspire my clients and my deaf children at school. And I have all these worthy goals, but really, it's not about them, really. This is more significant. It's about me wanting to be approved of and be the good girl. And that's really crap. And there's no wonder I procrastinate with all my tasks, because my goal, I'm not being true to myself if I'm saying it's for the kids, but really it's for my approval.
About you, and it's for you. Yeah.
Yeah, but if I could get rid of that one, I might actually stop procrastinating and do a good job.
Well, what happens when people procrastinate is, again, this 10,000 brain cells are firing 9 bits of data. When that 9-bit space is full, nothing else goes in and you can't do anything else. It's called being overstressed. Most of the world does not know how stress is created. They'll tell you, oh, you breathe, or you go out and run, or you do this or this to alleviate stress. But find me somebody who knows how stress is created. You know how stress is created? By setting goals. Every time you set a goal, you create a stress. That's the functioning purpose of the mind, is to fulfill your goals. You might remember again, this fellow 2,000 years ago, somebody told us he was teaching religion. He wasn't. He was teaching people how to manage their minds and their lives. And that wasn't very acceptable to kings who wanted good slaves. But you might remember he said, sufficient for the day are the evils thereof. And you say to yourself, what the hell does that mean? The word evil in Aramaic has two translations. One translation would be, I have a banana and it's green. Guess what a green banana is in Aramaic? It's evil. Or the banana is so overripened, it's brown and it's falling apart and dripping out of the skin. Guess what that's called in Aramaic? That banana is evil. Doesn't mean it's bad or anything else. The word evil means unripe. So that's one meaning for the Aramaic word evil. The other one in the context of this statement of sufficient for the day are the evils thereof, is that word means those things which are incomplete, your goals. In other words, don't set any goals. We actually do a workshop called Getting the Stress You Need. Stress is treated as a bad guy in our culture, but without stress, you'd be dead. So what he was saying is, don't have any more goals than what you can achieve in the next waking period. If you do, then you'll overload your mind, your resources will be used, and you won't function properly. You'll be frozen, you'll be stuck, overstressed. And the mind quits. The mind just says, too much, I quit, I'm not doing it. That's what procrastination is.
Yes.
So the key to healing procrastination is canceling your goals and only having enough goals for what you can do in the next waking period.
Yes.
The Greek translations of those words from 2,000 years ago, you'd never figure that one out unless you got back to the Aramaic language and knew what that word evil meant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So as I had said earlier, when you access something from the unconscious and you do it in the presence of love, that's where healing happens. So step 4, you want to take that one, Yinka?
Yes, step 4 is I choose love, my essence, which stirs love in everyone involved, and breathe.
So what takes you into the deepest, connected, clearest space of love that you know of?
Breathing.
Breathing, that's a good one. Yeah. When my daughter was born, I caught her in my hands, her head. She opened her eyes and she looked at me and she grinned. Crystal clear, laser look into my eyes. They tell us that that's not possible for a newborn, but it is because I watched my daughter do it. And when she did, that presence of love put me into another universe. Our essential nature is that of love. What we're inviting you to do is enter into the practice, cultivating your relationship with yourself as love, and entering into the practice of bringing love, conscious, active, and present within your mind and body and the world around you.
Yes.
Because our next step is going to be to collapse that construct of your mind, which when that happens, that perceptual construct collapses in on itself and it gives you access to what's underneath the surface. When you find that source of the pain that's underneath the surface and you expose it to present love, that pain dissolves. So you've made a choice to bring love present, whatever it takes to enter into that space and breathe.
Yes.
And then Yinka's going to tell us about step 5.
Oh, that's the rose and the butterfly.
Oh, yes.
Shall I read it?
Why don't you tell the story?
Okay. So imagine we have a rose and a butterfly, and we give them each an ego. They meet and fall in love and have a wonderful time together. Then one day the butterfly flies away because the rose thinks there was nothing more important than the love of the butterfly. It uproots itself to give chase. What is going to happen to the rose? It dies. Why does it die? Because it made something else more important than staying connected to its source. Anytime we make something else more important than staying connected to our source, being love, then we have
I had a
disconnected
ring on and I just dropped it. If you'd remind me to make sure to find it.
our
I
own
can't
death.
see it at this point. Excuse me.
Sorry, there we go. So anytime we make something else more important than staying connected to our source, our being love, then we have disconnected and initiated our own death.
So you want to stay connected to the truth of who you are, no matter what's going on in your world. And the worse things get, the more important it is to stay connected to that space of being, to keep your human life present and stay in contact with who you are. And unfortunately, we live in a culture whose specialty is, when the newborn comes into the world, is slapping the love out of them and then sending them out the door to find somebody to love them or find somebody to love. And now people are on a totally and completely backward track, looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love in too many faces. We're looking to change that.
(5A) is when upset, my perception, my mind construct is built out of corrupt data, driven by my goal, 3. By cancelling that goal, the driver that selects the data that produces my reality, my errant perception collapses and I get to drop into the part of my mind hidden from me by pretense that others are responsible for what I have created again. And breathe.
Michael, can I ask a question, sweetheart? We was watching older videos of you and you had some really weird sunglasses on. Why?
That's because you should go back and watch number 1 and you will understand why you had the sunglasses on.
Is that where I had the heart glasses on?
You had the white glasses on and they were very weird. And
Well, I'm weird sometimes. What can I say?
well, so am I. I mean, and I'm really struggling to cope. You know, I want to give up. I'm overwhelmed, but I'm not going to give up because that's not an option. And I will overcome this overwhelm somehow. But yeah, what was the glasses about, Michael?
I recommend going to watch episode 1. We watched episode 2 this morning. If you go back and watch episode 1, you will understand what the glasses are there for.
Michael,
And they are all on YouTube.
Oh, sorry. The next waking period, did you mean the next day?
Yes. Well, actually, this day.
Okay.
If you go to our website, you'll see there's a worksheet. Under worksheets, you'll see a worksheet called Mind Goal Management.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about how to, and that comes out of, that's a worksheet we teach in the workshop, Getting the Stress You Need. And it's about creating stress in appropriate timeframes and framing your goals, not setting them, but framing them the night before you go to bed. And then in the morning, checking them off and see if they're appropriate. And then only set them in the morning. You don't want to go to bed loaded with stress. How many people have gotten into bed and they're thinking and they're thinking and they're thinking and they're thinking? Why doesn't my brain shut off? Because you told it to think. You gave it goals to solve for you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't set goals before you go to sleep. You set your goals in the morning. You frame them. And then you ask for advice while you sleep. Gee, is there anything I need to know about this? And then in the morning, you check their appropriateness and you set them for the day. But you don't set, something that you can't accomplish for 3 months until 3 months from now. If you set that goal in your mind today, for the next 3 months, 24/7, 365, your mind's going to be working on that goal. And you just use resources and you load yourself with stress that's useless. You don't set stress in motion till the morning of the day that you're going to accomplish whatever that goal's about.
Okay.
That gives you access to all of your resources, keeps your stress levels down, and keeps you healthy.
Yeah, thank you.
So you might want to check out that workshop, Getting the Stress You Need. And the worksheet is Mind Goal Management Sheet from that workshop. So does this make sense, 5A?
Yeah.
So if I load a goal that resonates any data based in hostility or fear, then my mind uses corrupt data. And when I cancel that goal, that's the driver that selects that data and produces my reality. That perception based in hostility or fear collapses. And that's how I get to drop into the hidden part of my mind. And when I do, I bring it forward, then I can work through it. And of course, you want to make sure you breathe.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't feel like I completely understand that last step.
Okay. Let's roll back to there. So in number 3, I identified a goal.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is bring that goal forward in number 5 as the action step. So what we're doing, in essence, what we're doing in step 5A here is we're kind of giving you a synopsis of the whole. When I do this workshop, it's a 3 to 4 hour workshop. The Why Is This Happening to Me Again workshop on forgiveness. So when I do that, it's a 3 to 4 hour workshop. And so usually I don't get to the worksheet here until about the halfway point or get to this step. And so this is like an explanation of the whole first half of it. When I'm upset, when my perception is disturbed, that construct is painful. It's one being built out of corrupt data, and it's being driven by this goal that I'm holding on to. When I cancel the goal, the driver that selects the data that my mind's using to produce my reality, that pain perception is going to collapse. And when it collapses, so imagine we've got this 10,000 brain cells firing in a 9-bit mind where we get to see the screen of awareness. And it's filled with all kinds of pain and trauma. I want to collapse that puppy. How do I do it? I cancel the goal that drives it.
Okay.
It drops. Now I get to drop in and become aware of what's going on in my unconscious. So I get to drop into the hidden parts of my mind and the part of my mind that wants to keep the pretense going that it's all everybody else's fault, even though I've been through it, as I said earlier, 87 different times with 42 different people. Does that make sense of it?
Yeah, I think, yeah. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Awesome. And then the action step. Go for it, Yinka.
And the action step, while holding love conscious, active and present, Rahma, I now choose to collapse my mind by willingly cancelling my goal, the driver, for 1C from 3A, and cancel my need from 3B. So the action, Rahma, for Sarah could be, because she was saying about the Tao, it's what, do you place it with whatever they feel connected to? Or would you just...
Say that again, I didn't quite catch
Sorry,
that.
where you say Rahma, you know, you're asking, connecting to that love consciousness.
Yeah, actually, back 2,000 years ago, when they said to this man, Yeshua, what's most important? You know, if you want to really be human, what do you have to do? What's most important? And we're told he said, love God, love neighbor as yourself. Not even relative, not even close. He used this word in brackets, Rahma. And there's no concept of this in the English language or in the Latin or in the Greek. There's just like no idea of what it means. It takes a whole, as I said earlier, paragraph to understand it. So Rahma is a filter in the frontal lobes of the brain that allows only intentions keyed to love to pass into awareness. And it's the gateway that allows human life, the created essence that we are of love, to enter into a human form. The other two filters are hostility and fear, and only one filter can be active at a time. If hostility or fear is active, the gateway for love to enter this human form is shut. There is no human life there. Just because somebody has what we call a human body doesn't mean they're human. The human is the active presence of love. If that's not there, this is not a human we're standing in front of. So what he said was most important is to keep Rahman, not to love your neighbor, not, I mean, that's silly stuff. Because you can't do it. It's not possible. You either are love or you do love. If you are love and you function as love, which is what he's saying here with this word Rahman. So the action step is, I want to bring love present. I did that in step 4. Now I want to reinforce bringing love present. So while holding love conscious, active, and present, I now choose to collapse my mind's lies by canceling this goal, the driver, that is back in number 1C. And I'm going to cancel that, which I wrote in number 3A. So your goal in number 3A was to do your job well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it may seem silly to say, well, why would I can't? I mean, that's a perfectly good goal. Why would I cancel that goal? Because you've got corrupt data about doing your job well.
Yes.
And every time you load that goal, all this corrupt data comes up and you don't do your job very well.
Yes.
So what you want to do is cancel that goal so that you can bring that underlying data forward in the presence of love and dissolve it, get rid of it. That's what forgiveness is the getting rid of it. And then there were 2 aspects of the goal. So 3A, you want to cancel the goal from 3A, and then I cancel my need to, whatever the goal was in 3B, to look good.
So 3A was to do a good job, and then 3B, is that so I can be a good girl?
Yes, and get other people's approval.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect. So how about canceling those 2 things? And just notice what happens when you do.
I feel so relieved.
Yeah, it's called removing stress.
Yes, it is. It feels it. That's exactly it. And the weariness is going, and the disappointment's gone.
Yeah.
In fact, I was feeling so tired. I nearly didn't come tonight. I was like, oh, I'm so tired. I fell asleep in the car when I parked up tonight for about a good hour.
Hey, it's a hell of a load to carry.
I know.
It's a lot to carry. And when you realize what you're carrying is all this garbage under the surface,
Yeah.
I mean, literally, that's the stuff death is made of.
Yes.
So what we're looking to do is to open the space to bring it forward in the presence of love so that it's removed. That's forgiveness.
Yeah.
Notice we live in a Greek culture that says, oh, if you got all that load and all that stress and you're so tired, just let them off the hook. It's garbage. It's silly. But it's what the whole world is doing. Oh, I forgave them. Oh, I forgave myself. Never forgive anybody for anything. Never forgive yourself for anything, but forgive continuously. Let go of those stress energies, remove them. Look at the goal that drives your constructs of your mind that are pained, cancel the goals that drive it, drop into that space with love and remove what never belonged. Make sense for everybody?
Yeah.
It's
Question?
quite funny
Okay.
because at the beginning of the set, when everyone went into the breakout room, Sarah was saying that maybe she shouldn't do that on this one. Like maybe we should just do a worksheet on something else.
But I wrote you a message, Inka, to say I'm not coming tonight. And I thought, no, don't do that. Yeah.
Well, we're glad you did.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah.
Now, when you realize you've got this 9-bit mind, you got 9 slots. I metaphorically, not meaning it absolutely literally, but metaphorically, you realize you've got a 9-bit mind. The actual lab stats were 7 plus or minus 2. So some people have as little as 5 slots, so to speak, and some will have as much as 9. When you realize that's the processing capacity and you're maybe working on something that's 1,000 generations old, how long do you suppose with a 9-bit mind it's going to take up to clean up 1,000 generations of crazy stuff that we inherited? It was modeled for us in our family systems, modeled for us in our culture. How long do you suppose it's going to take? It's never going to happen. However, the next step, 5B, there's a helper that was taught about 2,000 years ago that resided in our minds. You'll see the words of the second at the end of the first sentence, the beginning of the second, Ruka to Kudsha. Actually, that word Kudsha is the root of the word kosher, which means that which is proper. Aramaic was a language that back a couple thousand years ago, you could go from anywhere in the Mideast to the Great Wall of China, and virtually everybody you met spoke Aramaic. It was kind of like English is today. It was a lingua franca of the day. And these words, again, there's no such concept in our language. It takes a paragraph. So Ruka to Kudsha is a feminine elemental force in each of us that when invited into activity does 2 things: undoes the effects of our errors, teaches us the truth. So once I've opened the space, once I've collapsed the perception, opened the veil, I'm touching into this, what might be a mass of painful data that's gone on for centuries in my bloodline, I'm now asking that power, and there's a blank there. I always just short form it with Ruka. I write in there R-O-O-K-H-A, Ruka. So I invite, in Aramaic, Ruka to Kudsha. Those are the words that were translated by the Greeks as the Holy Spirit, as though it's got something to do with some kind of disembodied spirit being. No, it's a feminine elemental force in each of us that when invited into activity undoes the effects of our errors, teaches us the truth. That's all. So once you've set the stage by canceling the goal, you're inviting this power to go to work, and there's several things we suggest you ask for. You want to go on through them, Inka?
Yeah. So newborn essence, love, heal my denial and capacity to generate my emotions from 1B. Help me open a direct conscious relationship with and gently remove the denied, dissociated and projective part of my mind.
So you're asking this power for help in each of these arenas.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get back to functioning as love, as who I am. I'm willing to let go of this denial game, that is blaming everybody else. And certainly this emotion that I'm feeling isn't healthy in my physiology. So I'm willing to not even be able, if I wanted to be able to generate it. And then I want to get into a direct conscious relationship with what's hiding inside of me, my own unconscious, and remove those parts of me that I've denied and dissociated and projected into my brain's image of others. So they're the requests you're making. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yeah.
Cool. Somebody want to do that step? And then there's a third goal to be canceled. You know, one of the things about this, what I call carbon-based memory or the human mind, is it's a habit device. It wants to play what it's played forever, over and over and over again. So once somebody gets an insight into something like what you're doing now, Sarah, that's so powerful, is oftentimes the mind will just sneak back in and use that data to produce a similar reality, the same pattern in other places. So here I'm acknowledging that and saying, I'm willing to let go of that one. So I cancel my need to be right and make up another story out of my hidden corrupt data to hallucinate proof that my fear or hostility-based story, my reality is true. Like, I'm willing to be finished with that. And this time you want to breathe and allow your whole physiology to just soften and open. Like just anywhere there's tension, anywhere there's stress within your structure. You want to let it open. Just pay attention to your body. It might be your feet,
Yeah, shoulders.
shoulders, back of your leg, your gut, your butt. Could be anywhere. Good thing to do can be to stretch, open your upper chest. And breathe.
Yes.
Let everything soften.
Yeah.
Making sense for everybody?
Mm.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, let's go on to number 6 then.
I now feel. Is it
So you just
now?
want to document, how's it feel as you do this, so that you've got to, you know, the mind will tend to come back in and, oh, well, that never really happened. Write it down, document it. So you've got to write it, the reminder of what happened. Yeah. This habit mind will tend to come back in and want to trick us. So how do you feel?
And I see that.
Yeah. How's that whole situation, number 1, look to you now?
Well, I now feel lighter and freer, and I feel more open. And yeah, I think I see that. I just was creating it. Yeah, just that construct, what you just said. That corrupted data.
Yeah,
I feel I don't feel corrupted. I feel cleaner, like when you do that with a computer and you take out the corrupted data.
Yep.
Defrag.
Defrag. That's it exactly. That's exactly what it is. And you know,
yeah,
the realities that most people hold that they're running scared from are always based in fear. And one of the things that fear does is it puts us into what we call a sympathetic dominant state, where blood flow is shunted away from everything in us that thrives and is alive and is vital and is able to deeply rest, and puts it into the larger muscles in the lungs to prepare us to fight or run. And part of that process is that literally the blood flow is cut off to the higher centers of the brain. So what yesterday I sat and looked and looked and looked, I couldn't figure out a damn thing. When I do this, all of a sudden, oh, well, that's obvious. It's because literally I've opened the blood flow to that higher center of the brain. And what I couldn't figure out yesterday, what I couldn't see or understand, is all of a sudden just, it's so obvious. And oftentimes when you do this process, the mind will rush in with another structure, just like the last one. So you may, on occasion, and I'm speaking from experience, you may have to do this 10 times a minute until you get over the habit of doing that old game. Actually, 2,000 years ago, they asked the guy who taught this process originally, well, how many times do I need to forgive my brother? Is 7 times enough? And we're told by the Greeks that he said, no, 7 times 70. But actually in Aramaic, he said 77 times 70.
yes,
Which isn't a literal number, but what it means is, like, I can only process through what I have the vitality to process through. So I'm going to tend to do this in layers. I'm going to tend to be able to open it up in layers. And I can't do the deepest layer at the level of vitality I'm at today. It might take me 2 weeks, and it might take me 2 years. It might take me 20 years to get to the level of vitality. You know, when I put the scotch away and I start actually drinking clean water, when I put the junk food away and I actually eat food with nutrition in it, when I actually stop going to the grocery store and I actually take food out of the ground that's actually been grown in the ground rather than comes in a package, and it vitalizes me, then vital enough, I can start to throw those deeper layers off. And when I'm willing to embrace those deeper layers. So it may take revisiting what seems to be the same worksheet many times, but it will be visiting it on new layers each time. Let's go for the next one, Yinka.
So 7A, principle of the universe is that by giving, I first get the original. I am grateful for this opportunity to heal. I choose truth and perfect love. 1C based on free from love. I structure a goal towards you and offer to you. So
So you had a goal for that person, even if it was yourself, or that again, it might be the car door. Gee, it slammed and it hit me in the shin, and I kicked the hell out of that door. I had a goal for it to take care of my shin. And when I cancel that goal, I get to look at what's going on inside of me. So now, whoever you're doing this worksheet on, you want to give them what it is you want to receive. Because when you give it to you, it passes through you and you get to receive it. You know, a lot of people, especially people that have been abused by their parents, could never see the logic in, why should I honor my father and my mother? They were so terrible. You know why? You want to honor them because they were so terrible. And you got power person dynamics related to them. And when you can honor them, which in Aramaic means I bring love into activity toward them, that energy of honoring, that energy of love passes through you, and it heals the leftover dynamics that you've got from that relationship. It isn't something you're doing for them. It's what you're doing, the gift you give yourself by giving it to them. So this principle of the universe, what I give, I first get the original. Gratitude's a powerful healing energy. So I suggest every worksheet that you do, you tap into gratitude. What's something, just think of something you're grateful for. Gee, the sun came up this morning. Gee, I woke up on the right side of the grass. And then I choose truth and perfect love. And then I'm talking to whoever the object of attention of this worksheet was. So number 1C, and again, that might be me, based on number 3. So I want to set a goal toward them based in the core issue of this worksheet. And I want to offer it to them, then follow through and fulfill that goal. So what goal would you put in there, Sarah?
A new goal that's more about just living in the moment with love.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I suppose if I am love, I don't need their approval anyway.
You got it. See, your higher mind's kicking in. That's it. That's what happens when we restore blood flow to the higher parts of the brain. Insight comes, aha moments that are impossible while fear is shutting down the blood flow. So this is how we heal the energetic patterns in ourselves. And notice that if you went to the doctor and you were tired and he'd say, well, you know, we're going to give you some iron and we got this drug and it'll pep you up a little bit. We'll give you a little speed and see, now you're better. You're not better. You've just substituted treatment for healing. This is what healing is about. Treatment is, let's see if I can find an artificial way to make it look like there's no dis-ease process going on. This is how you access and remove the dis-ease energies that never belonged. That's what actual forgiveness is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense for everybody?
Yeah, very much.
So you want to breathe, tap into and function as love, cleanse and bathe yourself in oxygen. Oxygen needs to get to the deeper cellular structure. You watch people in trauma and they subventilate. They don't breathe. They shut down the whole system. So that's how forgiveness works. Does that leave anybody with any questions?
Yes, I have one.
Go for it.
That was such a great work. Also with Sarah, what you did. So my question is about the mother. Where you draw the correlation to the mother, what she took over from her mother, and I think I have the same too. When I think, yeah, how can I express? Is it already something which is true when I think that is what I took from my mother? I don't know if it was clear enough, that question.
Well, what will tend to happen is you'll tend to clean up the generational patterns. As you look at, you hear in those ancient teachings, they said, look to the lives of the fathers, and of course the mothers are implied. It's not about men, it's about mothers and fathers, the parents who tend to be a power person. Look to the lives of the fathers, for ours are but a shadow of theirs upon the earth. When you allow yourself to go in and face those things and process through them, then not only are you released a bit, but so are they. And you don't have to pass it on to your future bloodline. Now, Jonas Salk, I think much more powerful than the Salk vaccine, he said, the most important thing to be is a good ancestor. Good ancestor cleans up their genes, and that's what we're doing here.
Yeah. But do I not also first clean up myself?
Yes.
So
and in doing it energetically, when you do a piece of work like that, you open the energy window for everybody in the bloodline to do the same.
And what you discovered in Sarah's situation, you know that directly. I mean, that was really astonishing for me and a great help.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Ms. Yenka, do you have any questions or thoughts at this point? Is that resonating anything in particular? I know you've been practicing this pretty deeply. Any insight to share? Or?
It was for me, it was very helpful because of the stuff that I'm going through, working through, to kind of see it in myself.
Cool.
And I really like what I really like about your teaching is about removal of it from self. It's not about forgiving the other person for what they've done. It's about removing that from within. That feels more powerful than going around trying to forgive you over there and you did that and you did this.
It's way more powerful. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And doing these processes has really made me focus on my own breath and those moments that I hold my own breath. And to remind others to breathe. What are you doing with your breath? I say it to my friends.
So important. So important.
So this is our last slide of just the best exercise Michael knows is to practice and strengthen your ability to hold space of love, is to close your eyes and allow yourself to become quiet. With your awareness focused inside, think of that which inspires in you the clearest, strongest, most powerful love you are capable of feeling.
Yeah.
And as you look at that picture on the screen, this is tomorrow we're going to get to hold this little one, our newest granddaughter. She's 5 months.
Is that where you've gone today to go over?
Yeah, that's why we were on the road. We're halfway to our destination My son and well, actually, two of our sons are driving. One or flying in tomorrow. My brother's coming to visit, and we're going to have a couple days at a timeshare up in Upper New York State. So that's where we're on our way to.
That'd be amazing.
So hold the space for.
What's her name, Michael?
Haley Joe.
What's that?
Haley Joe.
Amy
You got to
Jo.
turn that second source off, young lady.
Yes.
You got to turn that second noisemaker off.
So I want to say a big thank you to Michael for coming to share with us and holding the space for us to do this as well.
Here's the other one that's coming to visit with us. This is Aria Rain. She's
Lovely.
4. This is the daughter, the granddaughter that we take care of 3 days a week.
You've recommended.
So we're about to have some fun.
Yeah. All the books that you've recommended, my son absolutely loves. We do them for he creates his own story time with them on a Friday with the kids.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, any other thoughts or questions for anybody?
How do we donate, Michael?
It's going to be on this screen. There you go. On the bottom of the screen, that's straight to his site.
So you see that on the bottom there? whyagain.org/donations. And if you do that, that's much appreciated. Thank you.
And I'm just going to leave some music playing as to finish off with, so people can stay and listen to it, or you can head off.
Can I just say how much I appreciate this session. Thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to do it, Yinka. Thank you for Michael. I can't tell you how much I didn't want to do it, and even when we started, the feeling inside was very heavy. And you know, we use small words like disappointment, but it was actually a much heavier, more difficult feeling. I just couldn't put a word on it, and it's really genuinely gone. I do feel, you know, I wanted actually to say, look, I'm really sorry, I can't do this now, I must go. And I thought, no, you can't bug out, you can't just do that, that's rude. So I'm so pleased that I've done this. Thank you, it's really helped me.
So here's the thing to remember. The next time a piece of work comes up to do, chances are you're going to go, I don't want to do this. But notice, and I'm saying that for everybody's sake, notice what happens when you embrace and let whatever that's about. You know, our mind
so much easier.
Upset about something that's going on out there. I'm never upset for the reason I think. I'm upset because there's an upset energy in here. And if I embrace it in love and clean it up, I literally, it just takes the load off. Literally, those energetic patterns are the things that cause aging and death.
Yes.
You know, if you look at treatment, if you look at medicine, there's something toxic in there, and it's coming up and it's too much to handle. What's the idea? You put in a drug to try and shut it back down again. Drugs are a physical form of denial. We're saying, no, go in the other direction, let it open, bring love present and process through it. That's healing. The other is treatment. Sometimes treatment's appropriate, but sooner or later, you got to do the healing work.
Yes, thank you.
And it can get heavy sometimes. I mean, you can get into some heavy stuff.
Yeah, when I first started this, I just wanted to go and hide somewhere.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
And 5 days a week from 1 till 2 o'clock Eastern time in the US, which is right now 4 hours earlier than you are. From
Actually,
1 till 2.
Changes on Sunday. We go.
Oh, does it change on Sunday? Okay.
Yeah.
So our next one will be back to the 5 hour difference.
Yeah. So it's
well,
Sunday,
anyway,
1 o'clock, the clocks change.
Right.
Can I ask a question?
So on 5 days a week from 1 till 2 o'clock, if you have questions.
Yeah.
If you don't have access to a way to call the US, you can go into the chat room. You can go to our website. You'll see a microphone on the page. If you go to down at the bottom here, whyagain.org. If you go there, there's a microphone on the page. You can drill down. You can register and go in the chat room. You can listen to the show on your computer. If you've got US calling, then you can call into the show and we'll be having a conversation. We're there to answer questions. We do have the world's only forgiveness app. If you go on your phone to your app store and type in Heartland, That's the name of our teaching center. Heartland, Heartland, Aramaic, Aramaic, forgiveness. You'll be looking at the world's only forgiveness app. You can load that free on your phone and do this worksheet process right there on your phone. And if anywhere in the process you have a question, gee, I'm confused about step 2, what's that about? There's a link on every page. Just click the link, write your question, send it. We'll read it on the next radio show. We'll answer it and send you back an email that tells you where to get the link to listen to the answer. So we'll do everything we can do to keep it going. So go ahead. Go ahead.
I've just put everything in the chat for people to find the information.
Yeah. Can I ask a question, Michael, please? Am
for
I
it.
right in saying that the essence of the worksheet is, you get like, I let go of all this. And then the letting go part is when you call in Rukati Kushta and your guides and God and Jesus to help you let go. And then you go on to, I now feel peace, which I generally do. My question is, am I doing am I really healing? And B, and then it goes on to say, and I now can see. What am I supposed to now can see?
Whatever,
Yes.
there's no supposed to. It's whatever you're seeing. But you're asking me a question that you've already answered. I mean, you've been doing this now for what, close to a year, and you're not even living even close to the same life you were a year ago. When I think about your voice and the stress and the trauma that was in your life a year ago, that's what you get. That's the result. So you don't have to carry that around.
Sweetie, I want to die today. I'm overwhelmed with life, and I am.
So now it's time to forgive overwhelm. How long has your life looked like overwhelm? So it sounds like the next layer of vitality has come up. Probably in the last day or two, you were feeling pretty good, right?
No, overwhelmed.
So, but before this overwhelm you started, you were at a new level of vitality, right?
This overwhelm is, I've had so much loss. My cat, my son, my mother, and just so many other things, my living conditions, everything. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. And yes, I have been doing worksheets on overwhelm. Yes.
Yeah. So carry on. And I think back to, I think it was maybe 3 weeks ago, you repeated all the things that you're going through that you just said right now, and you went into, and I'm in peace.
Yeah.
So you're at a new level and a new layer of healing. Keep breathing, keep doing your work, and you'll let go of this layer. And that means you'll hit a new level of aliveness. And at a new level of aliveness, you'll hit the next deeper layer. And that's the process.
Well, as long as I'm alive.
Maybe you'll do 77 times 70 worksheets around this issue of overwhelm.
As long as I keep living, because I've been entertaining thoughts of not being here, and I have.
Yeah. Well,
and I want to
sounds like a good piece of forgiveness work to do.
Yeah. Thank you. It is marvelous. And, you go into, I did do a sheet on overwhelm last night, and, the feeling of peace you get, it gets lifted off you by your guides, by Ruka de Kushta. And you do find, it's marvelous. And just thank you, really, I guess.
So notice you know exactly what to do. It's just a matter of doing it.
Anyway, Thank you, Michael.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any other questions before we close out?
Magic.
Yeah, that was
Yay.
amazing. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Delighted.
And that was Chris's first worksheet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
It was very powerful.
And you'll have the video to go back over it. And you can go to, if you go to YouTube and you just put in Michael Rice, MICHAELRYCE, we've got dozens of videos in there, and each one gives you another piece of the puzzle, another piece. And it's a body of work we've assembled over the last 50 years, and nobody works through it in a day.
Yeah, but it feels right. It feels
awesome.
Really good. Yeah.
You look
well, any
just
questions
like
you
my
got?
son. You
Catch
look
us
just
on the
like
radio
my
show
son.
or through the app.
Michael, what was with the sunglasses in the earlier video?
No, go to
You already
YouTube
got the answer to
and
that.
watch the episode 1. We watched episode 2 today. We watched episode 1 last week. If you go back on there, you'll see episode 1. There's 1 to 9 episodes. And you'll have full understanding of those sunglasses.
All right.
Right. Thank you,
Well, thank you,
everyone.
everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Yinka, for what you do. Blessings.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
See you next time.
Thanks. Bye, everyone. I'm just going to mute us all. I'm just going to leave the music playing for those that want to just sit and relax in the music for a few minutes.
Are you still there? Yes, you are.